welcome back to BookTube with Amy. This is going to be my most recent weekly wrap up. Bailey has decided to also join because as soon as I bring the camera out, he decides he needs to clip clop and tap tap on the flooring. Didn't you? You're a bloody nightmare. Is it because I brought the blanket out or you just want to snuggle really? I think so. So I am surprised I managed to read as much last week as I did because like it was a hellish week to be honest. Work was nuts because it was quite sunny in the UK and we were just absolutely heaving. And everybody always buys heavy shit in the summer. Patio sets, 3-park trampolines, big bags of sand. And I was just like very out of puff about it all. And then I didn't get to enjoy any of the sunshine myself. And when I say enjoy, I mean like be out in it for an hour and then like be away from it because I literally melt. Naturally ginger, freckly as fuck, like we can't be in the sun here. But like I don't like no having the opportunity to do the sun if I want to do the sun, and I didn't have the opportunity. So I was finishing work on Friday. I was a day off Saturday, and it was like I wasn't off for the full weekend, I was just off the Saturday, so like it was a wee surprise day off which I was pleased about, which meant I was getting to spend the day with Simon. So I was like, right, on the early Friday, when I finish work on Friday, I'm coming home, I am doing frozen cocktails, I'm going to be sat out the back with my book. It's going to be glorious, can't wait for it. It is literally all I spoke about all day at work on Friday, and I was like saying to my other managers like, oh, I'll try and no drunk text the group chat because we often do that. And as soon as I left work on Friday, like as soon as I left the building, the heavens opened and it started pissing down a rain. So that ruined my plan. So I was like, Kim, what? It's fine. I was channeling my inner Marine. It's all part of the pattern. Let's not be stressed about it. Let's not be annoyed about it. We'll just rejig the plan. So the plan was coming home from work, cup of tea, long hot soak in the bath with my book. Still going to get some reading done. Still going to be a nice chill time. It'll be fabulous. What a way to end the work week, etc, etc, etc. Came home, went to the bathroom to start running my bath, and my bath was already filled with dirt and gunk and moss and about 5 inches of rainwater. So that curtailed the plan, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't take that in as much of a Marine or part of the pattern. Can't lie, I was a wee bit ranty-tanty. Simon was upstairs working and I was like, Simon, come quick! I don't know why I was like, come quick. I've literally never asked anybody to come quick in their life. Like, why would, like, what did I think was going to happen? Did I think it was all just going to evaporate? Like, and I've no idea what the difference would have been if he waited 5 minutes before he came down to check on it, or if he came right then and there. But anyway, that's what happened. So they were doing waterworks in our area and they had blocked like a mains drain, and so every time it rained, and being in Scotland we already get a decent amount of rain, but considering it had been like really nice weather and it was quite clammy, we were predicted rain and thunderstorms all weekend, which of course we got. And so every time the rain came on, rainwater started pushing up my plug hole and bringing in dirt and moss and all sorts of minginess. And I'm telling you, like, I says to Simon, as soon as the first spider comes up that I'm out here, like, this is your house now, I didn't live here, I'm away. And then I had to go to work on Sunday, and Simon was going out on Sunday, and the council basically says that there was nothing that they could do about it until Monday because the department that deals with drains shuts at 4 o'clock on a Friday. So if a drain gets blocked over the weekend, we're all entirely fucked, which is great planning. But anyway, so he had to go out on Sunday, I had to go to work, and I was properly stressed about the fact that the bathroom was going to flood. So he moved all the bathroom furniture out of the bathroom, we put loads of towels down, and then we scooped all the water that was currently in the bath out of the bath, and we were like chucking it down the toilet and down the sink to try and get it away, so that even if like there had been a good couple of rain flashes, it hopefully wouldn't flood our entire house. But then in the panic of trying to get all the water away, for some reason the sink decided it didn't want to play ball, and so then really heavy rain started coming down again, and so it was pushing up the plug hole in the bath and pushing out of the bit at the top where, like, if you overfill your bath it's meant to go away to stop it from flooding. And then it started doing the same in the sink, so it was pushing up the sinkhole and out of, like, the stopper bit at the top. It was very stressful. So I had the jug, Simon had the basin, and we were literally like trying to throw all this water down the toilet. It was like some sort of a weird game. I felt a bit like I was in the Cube. If anybody has ever watched that, that was like my stress level. So it's been a really great time, but thankfully it's all been sorted now. So like, it's fine. We're cracking on, you know. So anyway, humongous ranty diatribe aside, because that's no why you're here, is it? Let's just talk about some books that I've read. So first up, I read Definitely Dead by Charlene Harris as part of me and Anne's from Angie's Book Chatters Out of the Coffin read along. This is June, which means we get to read 2 books this month. So this is the first one that I read, and it was just amazing. I'm obviously not going to tell you too much about it, as always, because we have our live show, and I think if you're watching this, we have just had our live show on my channel. So it was great, it was a fun time, it was another 5-star read, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I am just like blitzing through these. I don't think there has been a single book that I haven't just finished in like a day. They're just very bingeable, and they're just such a comfort read. I am really enjoying them, and they're just brilliant. I would recommend them to anybody. I think they're phenomenal. Check them out. I am still obviously taking part in Marvelathon, and so this was my poll pick prompt, so it's ticked that off the list. I also think I did female protagonist for this, as well as LGBT rep, and I think that's it. I'll put in my wee tracker anyway. Last time I did my wrap up, I just did like my overall score for that week, but this time I'm going to put in like per book kind of screenshots so that you can see what every book has scored me. So this was a really fun time. And then I got a wee bit slumpy, so I read Master of One by Jada Jones and Danny Bennett, and I just spoke about this recently in a couple of tags. So I spoke about it in my intimidating TBR tag because she's chunky, and I also spoke about it in my I Stand With Trans Kids tag. I'm actually not sure if that's up yet before you see this wrap up, but I talk about this in it as one of the books that I really want to get to because there are non-binary characters in here. Anyway, I've got the lovely Fairy Loot edition, and it's like glittery red sprayed edges, which is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning, and it sounded like the perfect book for me, really. Found family, and loads of different magical beings, they're on a wee adventure together. It just sounded great. But unfortunately, it just wasn't. I really didn't enjoy this book, to be completely honest. I read like the first 80 to 100 pages twice because I did it audio the first time, and it was that way where I was like, I didn't have a clue what's happening, and I was like, right, well, like sometimes if I'm doing like an audiobook, I'm usually doing something else. So sometimes like a day's on out a wee bit or whatever, and I need to like go back and read a chapter, but usually I'm quite good at like being able to concentrate and also do things, so it only happens very, very rarely. But I was like, right, let's put it back a wee bit. And I was like, I still don't know what's happening. Let's put it back a wee bit. I still don't know what's happening. So I was like, right, so I've just blanked out everything I've read then. So I put it back, and I decided to do it on audio but also sit and read it physically. And see, after I reread it, I still didn't have a clue what was happening. I like a book when it throws you right into the action. Fine with it, and I can usually pick up what's going on. But this book just didn't do it very well for me. I feel like it throws you right into the action, but then like it throws you so many different characters and so many different like time periods, and like just so much history, and it's very heavily descriptive as well, which isn't something I ever enjoy. And so there's just like a lot to take in. that was really difficult to get to grips with the story. And like I got maybe, I don't even know, like maybe about to chapter 25ish, and I had said to Simon, like, I don't know if I'm going to continue this because I just, like, I am not into it yet. So then I read another couple of chapters to sort of make a final decision, and I got hooked. So I was like, alright, okay, so it's just a bit of a slow burn, fine, like I can live with that if it's going to deliver now, and I continued with it. But then it was a bit of a weird one. It was like every 2 chapters I'd be hooked and I'd be really engrossed, and like I'm a huge Skyrim player, and a lot of like the stuff that's described in here was giving me like heavy Skyrim vibes. They're sort of in like underground tunnels, and like they're fey tunnels, and so they're all mysterious and magical, and then as you sort of you go further down like through all the different levels, they're all a wee bit weirder and a wee bit more magical. And it reminded me, if anybody's ever like really dove into the Dwemer campaigns in Skyrim, when you're in like the, I think is it the lighthouse? I can't remember, but you go into a Dwemer cave at one point anyway, and the further you go down you see all the farmer, and like they're like, they've obviously got all the plants, and then there's like a bit where there's like trolls and like loads of other big creepy monsters, and like the plants are yay high, and like that's what it was giving me, right? They were the vibes it was giving me, and so I was really into it, and I was like, oh cool, like this is great, like I've got a really vivid image in my head, which doesn't always happen to me. So I was like, it's finally clicked, I'm going to love it. And then it would just get crap again, and then I was like, oh right, okay. And then it got to the point where I was like over halfway through, and I was like, I am the DNF in it now because I'll lose all the points for my team. So I powered through just so I could get my points. But this was a 2-star for me. I really wouldn't recommend it. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't feel like any of the action or any of the character development or the character relationships really made up for how slow it was at parts. And that's the thing as well, like it would be slow for a wee while, and then I feel like you would get loads of action really rushed, and so then I lacked that impact of what was actually happening. It was really bizarre, and I don't know if it's because it has dual authors, like if maybe one of them wrote the action scenes and one of them wrote the other bits, and it just didn't really gel well together. I don't really know how that looked. They didn't consult me in the editing process, so I've no clue. But it just wasn't it for me. So this is a 2-star read, and it really did make me a wee bit slumpy. And I just was like, ugh, that was mince. So this, however, got me some good points for Marvelathon. So this counted as an intimidating book, because it was on my intimidating TBR, so cool. It also counted as team colour because Scarlet Witch is obviously red, and it's got red around the sides and the back, and then it's got the glittery red sprayed edges, so I counted it for that prompt as well. It also fit for LGBTQ, and it also fit for book over 500 pages. I couldn't remember what else, and I sounded a wee bit like a didgeridoo there for, I don't know why I've done that on the internet, to be honest, but I have, so congrats. I'm pleased for you. So 2-star, didn't read it. It was just a bit mince, so disappointing. And then, right after that mince book, I went into another mince book, and I'm going to need a coffee for it. So I really haven't been requesting many NetGalley books recently. I've only been requesting if it's sort of like an author that I really love, or a book that has been like an anticipated release, because I just last year got myself really bogged down with all the NetGalley books that I was requesting, and I'm sure I've said before, but I ended up feeling like I had to request books that maybe weren't necessarily up my street, just so that I could have arcs to talk about, and I didn't really want to do that because, I mean, it's not fair on me, but it's also not really fair on the authors who's writing books, and like I'm their target audience, and that's absolutely fine. That book's never going to work for me, so it was maybe poor patter to be reviewing some of these books if they're not really books that I knew I wasn't going to enjoy. So I've only requested a few books for NetGalley this year. I think maybe only 2 so far. Oh no, 3, but I got rejected for Sayaka Murata, so I was devastated. And this was the 4th that I requested. So I requested The Black Dog by Kevin Bridges. Now Kevin Bridges is a really well-known, well-loved Scottish comedian, and I love Kevin Bridges, right? I think the dude is fucking hysterical. And he has written books before, but they've been like his story and memoir type books, which I've never read. I just really am not into that, unless it's like somebody that I am like obsessed with, to be honest. I don't really pick up a memoir. So I haven't read any of the books, but this is his first fiction book that he has written, called The Black Dog, and it sounded really up my street. It was about a wee guy from Scotland, and he wants to be a writer but is struggling being working class. He feels like he can't really aspire to be that. And he ends up meeting one of his heroes, who is a famous sort of film director slash gangster for Scotland, and they sort of form a wee bit of an unlikely friendship, and it's about how that sort of helps him in his writing career. So I thought that sounded really good, and I felt like it could make some really interesting commentary on the attainment gap with boys in education that happens in Scotland, especially for working class backgrounds. So I thought that maybe, you know, he could touch on some of those points. It could be really interesting and also really prevalent. I thought that it was sort of a bit meta, because Kevin Bridges is obviously a wee working class guy who broke into the comedy world and who is now writing a book. So his main character, who is, you know, aspiring to be an author and potentially struggling with that, could also be a wee bit interesting, and maybe pull for some of Kevin Bridges' personal experience. Plus also, like, it's a Scottish author. The book's set in Scotland. That's almost like a 50% guarantee I'm going to enjoy it. And knowing Kevin Bridges' comedy, I was fairly confident going into this that it was going to be written in Scots dialect, so it was going to be my type of patter, which I always thoroughly enjoy in a book. So, went into it very excited, very hyped. And I had to DNF this, unfortunately. It just was not for me. So the book isn't split into chapters, it's split into parts. And I just never really like that for a formatting perspective, because I never feel like there is a natural end point. And like, I'm one of these people that I hate stopping like halfway through a chapter. Like, that just irks me. So it was difficult for that perspective. And then also I just didn't really like the characters or where the storyline was going. It was very slow to begin with. So I read the entire first part of the book. I don't know how many parts the book split up into, but I read the entire first part, which is about 70 or 80 pages of the book. Now, it was written in Scots dialect, which was fantastic, and I did really enjoy that aspect of it. It's probably one of the books that I have read that has been like the most Scottish, if that makes sense. A lot of the other books that I've read, like, it's just been maybe key sentences or phrases, but other than that it is fairly easy to read. Whereas this one I feel like would maybe be a wee bit more of a challenge if you're not fearing about these parts, to just sort of get your head around it, because it is like very Scottish. This book is literally written down how I talk and I did really appreciate that for that aspect of it. And like, it's just like our spellings and stuff like that as well, which I really enjoyed. So I thought that was great, and it definitely gave it a wee bonus point. But it wasn't for me. So we have our main character, Declan. Is it Declan? See, I can't even mind. Aye, it's Declan. So it opens up with Declan, and he is performing it's not really like spoken word. I guess it's like a short story that he has written, and he is reading it to his class. So it transpires his mum and dad bought him like a creative writing class for part of his Christmas, and he's basically bribed everybody not to tell anybody, because it can't get out that he is taking part in this, because he doesn't want to get slagged and made funny by his pals. Fine, cool. But the people in the class just didn't like the story, and they're trying to give him feedback, but we didn't really hear their feedback properly, because all we get is Declan's internal monologue basically telling them what to fuck off, which, like, is fine and it was quite funny, but also like Declan clearly just can't take any feedback, which is a wee bit annoying. And then we go for the creative writing class right to the pub, and the pub is where most of your first part of the book happens, and you get introduced to quite a lot of characters. So in the first part you obviously get introduced to Declan, you get introduced to a few people for his creative writing class, which I assume would be significant later on in the story. You meet Declan's pal Doof Doof, which by the way, right, he's called Doof Doof because he used to listen to a lot of heavy bass and pure techno music when he was younger, so it's like Doof Doof to mimic the bass. But if you say Doof Doof to me, I just think about EastEnders, so automatically like that wasn't working for me. So we meet them, and then we meet a wee bird that he fancies who works at the bar, we meet another bartender, we meet his other pal Jordan who's a wee bit of a wannabe gangster, we meet all the rest of the gangster group, we meet his granda's best pal who used to work with years and years ago. Like, we meet so many different characters, that it was difficult to keep track of who we would need to remember and who we wouldn't need to remember. And like, it's sort of if it got to a point where it was like, right, well, why is this person here? Like, fair enough if he goes for a wee drink and Ken, one of his granda's old pals is kicking about, cool, like, fine, and like to say hi or whatever, that would be grand. But there's like this whole bit where like the wee old guy goes out for a fag and Declan goes out for a fag too, even though Declan doesn't smoke, just so he can talk to him, but then doesn't say anything of merit to him. The old guy just goes, oh, I used to work with your granda, and that's the whole interaction, and it was just a bit pointless. And like there was just no need for all the build up, right? You get so many characters introduced to you and nothing much happens at all until maybe like the last 8 pages. Part 1 where there's a wee bit of violence that goes down, and don't get me wrong, that was written really well, and if that had happened earlier in the story I think I maybe would have bought into it a wee bit more. But I had just read 80 pages of fuck all happening so that I could get to like 5 decent pages, and I just felt like that ratio was way off for me, so I decided not to continue it. I didn't care about any of the characters, and there had been no like interesting social commentary so far on Scotland or our education system, or really how Declan felt about the fact that he couldn't talk to his pals about what he wanted to do. There was none of that at all, and that doesn't mean that that isn't in this book, it just means that I didn't read far enough into it. Ken, it could potentially be there, but it just wasn't it for me. I couldn't get on board with it, and like I say, I really didn't like the fact that it wasn't in chapters. That just puts me off as a reader. That is a me problem, however. If you like a book that does come in parts and it doesn't have chapters, you might enjoy it. I just personally wouldn't recommend this. I really didn't like it, and I think if I've read 80 pages of your book and it is off a one character's perspective, even if you've introduced me to loads of other characters and I don't care about any of the other characters, I should care about your main character. I've been reading through their perspective and I didn't. I thought that Declan was a bit of a dick, and like I say it all the time, I'm fine with a villain. Like if, you know, you write a really solid villain, I will probably be invested for your villain and enjoy a villain. Declan wasn't a villain, however, he was just a bit of a pain in the hole, and I just didn't care. So I wouldn't recommend, and it really fucking broke my wee Scottish heart to have to DNF this Kevin Bridges book. And then to cheer myself up, I read a lovely wee cute graphic novel. This is Hecate by Lorena Alvarez, and this is the second one in the Nightlights series. I don't know how many graphic novels are going to be in the series, there's only 2 out at the minute, but I had to read this as part of my I seriously need to finish that challenge this year anyway, so I am very, very pleased that I did. It was cute, it was really adorable, and it was just what I needed, a perfect wee pick-me-up after a couple of quite poor books. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. It was just a really nice wee story, and in this one it touches a lot on sort of environmental issues. The artwork in here is just like seriously stunning. And our main character, she's just such a wee cutie, and she just loves her drawing, and she pulls like so much magic for her drawings, and we just meet so many really cool and interesting characters in this, which is absolutely fantastic. I hope that there is more in this series. I don't want to tell you too much about the plot because like it's a tiny wee book, so I feel like if I was to tell you anything about it really, I would give the entire plot away. But it's just brilliant and the art is so stunning. I feel like they just do brilliant things with colour in here as well. Like you can see like if when things are sort of getting bad, like the colour just starts fading and it gets a wee bit darker, and that's one of the themes for the first one. And it's something that I really enjoyed. And then there's just so much colour and so much brightness in here. And all the wee animals are thoroughly adorable and I just really enjoyed it. So this is a 5-star read for me. I used this as a graphic novel prompt. I think I used it as female protagonist. I can't even remember what else I used it for, but I'm sure there was a couple more, and I will pop my wee tracker up so you can see my point. So it's not been too bad a reading week. 2 5-stars, a DNF and a 2-star, so a bit mixed. I have had quite a run recently where like I've only been getting 4 and 5-star reads, so this is sort of who broke that run, but it wasn't too bad. I still really enjoyed the 2 5-stars that I've read so far. And by the way, Team Scarlet Witch are fucking smashing it. So I've managed to garner some really good points for my team this week as well, and I'm chuffed. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you are reading at the moment, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!